the king, the prince, and the cursed forest in a land where mountains touched the sky, and swords decided the fate of kingdoms. There lived a king named Arion. He believed a crown meant nothing unless it was earned through sacrifice. Every morning before sunrise, the king trained his son Aaron with his own hands. The boy's hands were still young, yet the king placed a sword in them and a bow upon his shoulder. The sword, the king said, is for the moment when no path remains. The bow is for the moment. You must think before you strike. Days passed, and training became routine, a routine that quietly shaped destiny. The departure that silenced the city. One day the king announced a hunt, not an ordinary one, but near the edge of the dark forest. As the king and the young prince left the castle gates, the city fell silent. The people watched, not with pride, but with fear. Everyone knew the truth. That forest was no place for humans. It was ruled by jinn, and none who entered had ever returned victorious. But the king listened to no one, not to the people, not to his commanders, not even to the warnings of fate. A forest that breathed. The moment they entered, the light faded. The trees bent like living creatures, and the mist swallowed the ground. There was no sound, only the prince's heartbeat. Then, the earth trembled. From the darkness emerged the army of the jinn, ashen skin, burning eyes, and blades that smelled of death. A father's sacrifice, the king charged without hesitation. His sword struck like lightning. With every blow a jinn fell. But the enemy had no end. A poisoned blade pierced the king's side. Blood stained the stones red. He fell to his knees. With his last strength, he looked into his son's eyes and said, "Run. One day what I taught you will save me." And so the king was taken captive, so the son could live. The birth of a warrior. Years passed. Aaron was no longer a child. His hands were scarred, his gaze heavy. Every day he trained. The sword until sunset, the bow until nightfall. Not for glory, not for a crown, but for a promise. The return with an army. The day came when Aaron stood and said, "Enough." He crossed the plains and gathered warriors. Armor was fastened. Horses were saddled, banners were raised. At night, fires burned across the camps, and the prince studied the path ahead. Not through the forest, but behind the great stone mountains, where the jinn would never expect him. The journey was brutal. Cold shattered bones. Mist devoured the road. But hope carried the army forward. The fall of a king, the rise of a legend. At sunrise, the attack began. The jinn were caught off guard. The forest screamed once more. At the heart of the darkness stood the king of the jinn, massive, proud, and furious. He laughed, but the laughter did not last. Aaron raised his bow. The arrow flew and pierced the enemy's chest. The jinn king still breathed. Aaron drew his sword, and with a final strike, ended the war forever. Chains shattered. The king was free. Father and son embraced amid the ruins. A silence filled with danger, but behind the broken walls, someone had seen everything. The son of the jinn king watched in silence, hatred taking root in his heart. He whispered, "This is not the end." Subscribe for more fantastic AI videos.